Saltwater biome includes coastal ecosystem and the marine ecosystem. The coastal ecosystem consists of estuaries, coastal wetlands, and the coral reefs. Estuaries are the places on earth where fresh water mixes with the salt water. That is, they are located at the mouths of rivers. These are nutrient rich zones because streams and rivers transport many nutrients from the land, and incoming tides carry nutrients into this region from the ocean. These nutrients support a variety of plants, algae, fish, and other organisms. For example, two-thirds of the world's commercially valuable fishes and mollusks depend on this region at some point in their life cycle. For example, there are many marine fishes who come to the estuaries for spawning. Most of the estuaries are associated with coastal wetlands, that is, salt marshes, mangrove swamps, mud flats, together forming the estuarine zone. The estuarine zone is highly productive and of great value to humans and other species. They provide food, shelter, breeding grounds for millions of waterfowls and other organisms. Unfortunately, this zone is one of the most altered ecosystems on Earth. For example, dams that are built on rivers to control flooding, supplying drinking and irrigation water, reduce the flow of fresh water into the estuaries. Reservoirs that are built behind the dams capture sediments that otherwise flow to the estuary. These sediments are important because they contain many nutrients that are vital to the life in the estuarine zone. Also, this region is drained and filled with dirt that comes from construction activities like building homes, highways, factories, etc. Coral reefs, these are located in the tropics or the subtropics. They have warm, shallow waters. They con- they con- it is consist it consists of certain organisms called polyps that live in colonies and have stiff calcium carbonate outer skeletons. Therefore, they are known as stony corals. These skeletons persist long after their death, creating a base on which other corals grow. Because coral reefs are built of organisms, they take thousands of years to form. Coral reefs are the tropical rainforests of the oceans and are home to a variety of organisms. Many of them are colorful. Like estuaries and coastal wetlands, coral reefs are also under threat. Like shipping in the coral reefs causes considerable damage because it has fragile ecosystem. Sedimentation is another problem. Sediments cloud the seawater, reducing photosynthesis in protists that live in the coral reefs, that is dinoflagellates and other algae. These organisms are important because they live in a mutualistic relationship with the species of corals. Sedimentation can also bury the reef, choking the life living in it. Coral reefs are also sensitive to temperature changes. Many of the world's coral reefs are dying due to warming of the ocean waters, which is thought to be associated with the global warming. Now, the marine ecosystem. Over 70% of the Earth's surface is covered with oceans. The marine ecosystem consists of four ecologically distinct zones, just like lakes. These zones are Narratic, Euphotic, Bathial, and Abyssal. From the main landmass, we can see in the diagram, the ocean floor slopes downward away from the landmass and then drops steeply. The gradually sloping region is known as continental shelf, and the more steeply falling region is known as continental slope. The bottom of the deep ocean is called the abyssal plain. The Narratic zone of the ocean is like the littoral zone of the lakes. It lies above the continental shelf, extends 10 to 200 miles away from the land. It contains relatively shallow water and receives abundant sunlight. Water in the Narratic zone is warm and well oxygenated. Nutrients in the Narratic zone come from the rivers and streams that flow into the ocean. It also comes due to upwelling of water from the deeper layers. These nutrients support abundant phytoplanktons, zooplanktons, and fishes. In fact, most of the commercial fishing operations in the oceans are carried out in the Narratic zone. Next is the euphotic or the photic zone. It is like the limnatic zone of the lakes. It is the region of open water that extends downward till the sunlight penetrates about 200 meters below the ocean surface. It supports numerous species of phytoplanktons, diatoms, dinoflagellates, and others, and also a variety of zooplanktons, crustaceans. Phytoplanktons produce plenty of oxygen. Even though it has high levels of oxygen and ample supply of sunlight, but still this zone is not very rich in nutrients and therefore not very productive. Even though the euphotic zone covers 90% of the ocean surface, it produces only about 10% of the commercial fresh fish each year. Below the euphotic zone is the Bathial zone. It is the region of semi-darkness. Therefore, it does not support photosynthesis and therefore also has low oxygen levels. Despite this fact, it has variety of fishes and other organisms like shrimps and squids, which feed on organisms coming from the upper layers. The last zone is the Abyssal Zone, which is beneath the Bathial Zone. It is the region of complete darkness. It has no photosynthetic organisms and extremely low oxygen levels. Only those organisms who can survive or tolerate these conditions are found in this zone. That is, to live in this zone, an animal must be adapted to extremely cold water, high water pressure, low oxygen, and complete darkness. Most of the animals that live in this zone are either predators or scavengers. Sediments in the abyssal zone are, however, rich in nutrients. Many creatures that are found in this zone are bizarre looking. Some fishes or some organisms of this zone have evolved luminescent organisms. Therefore, they shine in the dark. Probably this feature helps them to attract food and mates.